When I was a teenager, around 2023 or so, I had this friend from Brazil, okay? And he's a great guy, not gonna lie. He's funny, charismatic. I mean, dude, the whole schmick. One day, I'm talking to him like normal in a VC, and he brings up the fact that he had a lucid dream the night prior. Now, look, I had heard about lucid dreaming before. I kind of knew what it was, but I didn't really know how to do it or what it felt like, you know what I mean? In a lot of ways, I think it was a fun conversation I had with the guy, but, you know, in a way, it also kind of screwed me up. I was very curious, and he told me all about lucid dreaming. If you don't know what lucid dreaming is, it's basically when you realize that you're dreaming and it feels almost exactly like real life. It's honestly quite scary. But it goes beyond just a realistic dream. Some people can even learn to control their dreams with sheer willpower alone. And that was kind of the appeal for me and why I got into it in the first place. Now, gaining awareness that you're dreaming and entering the lucid state can be done in a variety of ways, most notably being reality checks. Now, I tried a lot of different reality checks the entire time that I was super into this, but the one reality check that always worked for me was pinching my nose and trying to breathe in. Obviously, in real life, if you plug your nose, whoop-de-doo, you can't breathe. Who would have thunk, right? However, if you do it, say, 20 times per day while you're awake and ask yourself, am I dreaming? You might actually start doing it in your dreams too. Now, this is when stuff switches up. When you're dreaming and you try to do that same nose pinching exercise, you'll still actually be able to breathe in, which is when you'll realize that you're dreaming, supposedly. I remember my first successful lucid dream. Very interesting feeling. I was so excited to tell my friend about it because I had been trying so hard to have one for like an entire week, which is interesting because it typically takes people a lot longer, but for me, it was just like I could not freaking wait. I was so excited. In the dream, I was outside in this weird park at night. I was sitting at a table with a friend of mine and we were at like this weird award ceremony thing. We were surrounded by other tables that these weird silhouette people were sitting at, and there was a stage with a projector screen. Now, on said projector screen, there was a video of Moist Critical, who was brutally mutilated by this awful cartoonish filter over him. It was like basically this super simplified color palette or something. And Moist Critical was counting down the 10 best videos of all time, whatever that means, right? And you know, he's going through the list, counting off all the videos, and of course, he's saying his usual nonsense, like, this video is like you took doo-doo and mixed it with farts and squinted at it and then called it a video, or whatever he freaking says, okay? Making comments about each and every video. Now, for context, at this time, my friend who I'm sitting with and I used to have a YouTube channel, and it was popping off slightly, okay? Without getting into too much detail. So when Moist Critical got to the #1 spot and said it was our video, I just like immediately jumped out of my chair with joy. Legitimately, I was so freaking happy. And then I thought, wait a minute, I could never win such an award. I'm too much of a freaking loser. So, of course, like that was the thing that made me realize that maybe this wasn't freaking real. I don't know why. Really low self-esteem, I guess. So I did the old nose pinching extravaganza ordeal, and sure enough, I was dreaming, and I was so happy that I literally started skipping around with joy, and all the weird shadow people were clapping for me. And of course, Moist Critical was also congratulating me up on the big projector screen. And I was so freaking happy that I accidentally ended up waking myself up. And thus began my strange altercations with lucid dreaming. After that first dream, after I realized that it was possible for me to do it in the first place, I so desperately wanted to get right back into it again. So I kept on trying. I just wanted another lucid dream, man. You'd think I'd just keep doing it like a normal person, but you know, I was a little autistic kid, so I was just totally and completely obsessed with it. Every single waking moment of the day, I was just thinking about lucid dreaming, and I was doing these reality checks like crazy, trying to maximize my chances of getting another one. In addition, since I had that first lucid dream, I had a heightened sense of awareness whenever I was asleep, and I was constantly accidentally waking up because I thought I was dreaming. Most nights I was waking up like 3 to 4 times, so I basically stopped having very restful sleep, and with that heightened sense of awareness, I guess I sort of stopped differentiating my dreams from reality in a way. And I started having these really weird like episodes whenever I was falling asleep or whenever I woke up in the middle of the night or something, where I'd have these strange hallucinations that that I was covered in bugs like roaches, centipedes, and spiders, and, I swear I could see them, I could feel them. I mean, in some cases I could even hear them. I mean, it was so freaking strange. And that's like in a more extreme case, right? There were also other situations where I would just see like ants in my bed. Like I would see them crawling past me, or I would see a wasp on my blanket or on my wall or something like that. And I couldn't really do anything about it aside from just kind of try to pretend that they weren't there, I guess. Like, I don't really know. Like, most of the time I would just try to brush them off because I was too freaking tired to do anything. Sure, I was scared, but I was just, dude, I was exhausted, man. And that happened quite a few times, and it was genuinely an awful experience through and through. Even while awake, though, I would also see some crazy things. Don't think this is just a thing that happens whenever I'm in bed. No, no, no. I used to work at this really old building back in high school. It was abandoned, but got repurposed. One morning, I go in at like 7 a.m., pretty early before anyone else even shows up, and I'm just turning on the lights and getting ready to clock in. And out of the corner of my eye, I swear on everything that I saw a head of hair just whisk right by me. Like, I have no idea why, but as soon as I turned my head, nothing was there. My heart was literally racing because I thought that there was something there with me, but at the same time, I kind of knew that there wasn't. Because to be frank, I'm not really like a believer in the supernatural or whatever, okay? So whenever I see something like that, I'm going to assume it's all in my head from the get-go, okay? But that doesn't stop the fact that it definitely felt like it was real. And this sort of thing started happening every so often. I swear I would catch a glimpse of something only for it to completely vanish as soon as I turned to get a better look at it. I even remember telling some of my coworkers about it too, and they were telling me that I was being overdramatic or something like that, and I took their word for it, so I mean, whatever. Now, the vast majority of hallucinations I had were typically in the dark or strictly like extreme paranoia more than anything, okay? Keep in mind, this crap didn't used to happen until I started lucid dreaming. I don't want to say correlation equals causation, but they seem to line up pretty perfectly, okay? I basically never used to wake up randomly throughout the night, but now I do. Just recently, about 2 months ago, something else happened that was rather strange, to put it lightly, okay? One night, I woke up at like 2 a.m. Lo and behold, surprise, surprise, I saw a bunch of roaches in my bed. Lucky me! Just hit the jackpot with that one. Woo, doggy. So of course, I did what any normal person would do. I immediately got up and started yelling, ew, 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 yucky, yucky, get away from me. And, my brother woke up wondering what was going on, and I told him that there was a roach in my bed. He told me to just get it, and I didn't say anything. It's funny, I imagined that I said something, but apparently I didn't, and I just left the room to go to sleep on the couch instead, leaving him to fend for himself, essentially. So I'm laying on the couch, 15 minutes go by, and I ask myself, wait a minute, why on earth would my entire bed be covered with roaches? It doesn't take an expert to know that that doesn't really make any sense, does it? So I come to the conclusion that I must have been hallucinating, okay? Which is strange because in the moment, it all felt so freaking real. I swear I saw them. I swear I could feel them. But it took me time to realize that, shoot, maybe that didn't actually happen. So I go back to my room. My poor brother is walking around with a flashlight, searching for a roach that doesn't exist. I tell him that it was just a hallucination, and we both go back to bed. Now, this was a really awkward situation, okay? So awkward, in fact, that we didn't even talk about it for the next 2 days after the fact. Really awful experience. Now, in regards to paranoia, I've had a few instances where I will wake up in the middle of the night, completely terrified out of my mind, and if I turn my head, something will be there. I don't know what, but I just know that it ain't something good, okay? About 3 weeks ago, I woke up because, let's just say, nature was calling my name, and buddy, I ain't the type to just leave her hanging. So I get out of bed, I stumble to the bathroom, I handle my situation, and I'm getting ready to go back to bed. Now, for some reason, I started feeling super paranoid as soon as I left the bathroom. I felt like at every turn, there was gonna be someone there. Specifically, a stranger, someone I didn't know in my house. Needless to say, I was pretty scared, but I didn't have the energy to really do anything about it because I just freaking woke up less than like 2 minutes ago. At every given moment, I had the urge to look behind me, beside me, all around me, around doors, basically just everywhere, dude, because I thought something was gonna be there. And deep down, I knew it wasn't real because why? You know what I mean? Like, I'm not seeing anything, I'm not hearing anything yet. Why do I think that there's going to be something there? You know what I mean? But it felt like my subconscious was screaming at me to keep my guard up when literally nothing was happening. And it was genuinely so freaking terrifying. Then again, I will admit, okay, that I did watch a horror movie the night prior, so it's possible that that may or may not have had an effect on that. I mean, maybe, just spitballing here, I don't know. That's besides the point, okay? Fact of the matter is, I felt pretty freaking paranoid, and I genuinely felt like there was going to be something around every single corner, even though that was completely irrational, because why the heck would I think that, okay? There were also a few other tiny little instances that took place when, like, for instance, one time I was in the bathtub, and I kid you not, for some freaking reason, out of the faucet came freaking rusty staples. I don't know why, and I know for a fact they were real because they came back later and they were still there, but they were staples. And for some reason, the only thought going on in my head was, shoot man, someone must be trying to attack me or something. Someone must be trying to poison me. Something like that. And you know, again, deep down, I understand that is a completely irrational thought to be happening. And I understood that there's no way this can be real, but at the same time, it felt real. Okay? It was weird, you know? And in the same night, I go and try to get some water from my sink. And I get it into a glass, and for some reason, I'm thinking in my head, dude, this water isn't like clean. It's not clean, even though it clearly is, and I'm looking at it and I can see that it's clean. There's not a single speck of anything in it, but deep down, I just feel like it's not clean, and I don't know why. And again, irrational. Why are you thinking this, buddy? I understood that in the moment, but it still felt real. For obvious reasons, since all this crap started happening, I slowly stopped intentionally trying to lucid dream. And I mean, sure, you know, I had loads of fun experimenting with my dreams and seeing a bunch of super scary things that weren't actually real, but I had to throw in the towel eventually, okay? I stopped keeping a dream journal because that increased the amounts of lucid dreams that I had, and I also stopped doing reality checks completely, full stop. To be honest, it's been getting better, okay? That's been helping a little bit. I very rarely have experiences like the ones I've talked about anymore, but it still kind of feels like lucid dreaming permanently tainted my brain in some capacity. You get what I mean? Maybe not permanently per se, but I feel like it's gonna take a lot of work and time to simply undo all the crap that happened to it. The last lucid dream I had was about a week and a half ago, and that time it was completely unintentional, also rather underwhelming, so I guess I really couldn't care any less. So, I mean, whatever, right? Lucid dreaming has definitely done some good for me, I'll say that, but its main effects on me have been feelings of fatigue, constantly waking up in the middle of the night, anxiety in some cases, and of course, as I've mentioned, hallucinations and paranoia. Now, that could be due to the fact that I just have a very vivid and active imagination, but then again, I'm not entirely sure, okay? If you want to get into lucid dreaming, I'm not saying that the exact same things that happened to me will happen to you too if you just give it a shot, okay? But it's worth considering the potential side effects before you try out lucid dreaming. If you are the type to have a lot of very intrusive thoughts and things like that, or if you struggle with overthinking, for instance, I might want to stay clear from it until you get into a more clear headspace, but that's just me, okay? I mean, what do I know? Well, whatever. If you want to hang out or something like that, I have a Discord server. The link is in the description. We got loads of fun people in there, lots of interesting characters, so give it a try if you're feeling it. Additionally, take a look-see here. We got some Gato Finklo fan art. This stuff is awesome. Last but not least, I want to mention I have a channel membership. It's $4.99 a month. If that sort of thing interests you, if you feel like you want to support me, then go for it. If not, don't. Simple as. I'm not going to force you if you don't want to. Anywho though, without further ado, I suppose I shall see y'all in the next one. Bye!